Two gifts of spirit. Divine Mother gives love. Divine Father gives freedom. Together they give love without conditions, or love given freely. The nature of Mother's love is to ground and attach. The nature of Father's love is to liberate and extend. Both are necessary. Mother brings nurturing, Father brings growth. Every person needs both Mother and Father. Every partnership needs Mother's love and Father's love. The man must be able to nurture and sustain as well as the woman. The woman must be able to detach and grow as well as the man. Father brings the gift. Mother accepts it and puts it to use. Without Mother, Father's gift would go unnoticed. Without Father, Mother's gift would close in on itself. The opposites dwell within, and that is where we must learn to dance. But we must also learn to dance with each other. It is really one process, not two. Inner and outer just reflect each other. My dance with me is not dissimilar from my dance with you, and my dance with you takes me deeper into my own process. The journey to peace. When you finally understand that you are on the road to now here, it no longer matters where in particular you are going. All locations are the same. All relationships are the same. All forms of escape are the same. When you are firmly committed to your journey, regardless of where it takes you, it ceases to be an external one. External situations are irrelevant. The real journey is the journey to peace within your own heart, and that journey is happening in the present all the time. The only question that can be asked on the inward journey is, am I at peace? If I am not at peace, then I have identified with something outside of me. I have made my happiness conditional on something else. So if I'm not at peace, realizing this brings me back to peace. Peace is always there. It seems to disappear only because I turn my attention elsewhere. Spiritual practice is about being peaceful moment to moment and bringing our awareness back to the present when our attention wanders to the past or future. It is about being in acceptance of our life as it unfolds and not wanting it to be different. For as soon as we desire something other than what is, we create conflict. This conflict is not real in itself. It is just a reflection of our lack of acceptance. If everything is acceptable as it is, and nothing needs to be fixed or improved upon, what do I do with my life? That is a good question. When you reach that question, not as intellectual exercise, but as an emotional necessity, you will have the answer. But the answer will not come from anything you already know. It won't come from your ego, although the ego will propose many solutions. The ego may ask that question, but it cannot answer it. The answer comes from beyond that place where ego can go. The answer comes from a place where there is no compulsion to act, where actions spontaneously arise without deliberation or struggle, without attachment to outcome. You simply see what needs to be done and do it. Having taken action, you are no longer defined by it. Having put out a fire, you do not become a fireman. What you do in one moment does not define you for what you will be doing in the next. Each moment unfolds with its own integrity, its own requirements. Your job is just to be present, to be at peace, and to let words and actions come from that peaceful presence. When you speak and act, you are not at peace. You can only attack or defend. Acting from agitation creates greater agitation, and so the cycle of suffering proliferates. If you want to be free from suffering, you must stop creating suffering in your life. But how do I do that, you ask? You do that by asking the question, am I at peace in this moment? before you speak or act. And if you are not at peace, you take a deep breath and bring your awareness back to the present moment. All suffering originates in your own mind, and that is where it is undone. Continue your practice to include your thoughts and feelings. Whenever you think or feel something, ask, am I at peace right now? And if you are not at peace, take a deep breath and bring your awareness back to the present moment. Do not let your thoughts and feelings run amok, or you will have to live your life through their filters. Every thought, every feeling is a filter. Every word that is spoken and every action taken limits truth in some way. Truth itself neither thinks nor feels, speaks nor acts. Thus it never strays from itself. To rest in the truth, question each thought and feeling, each word and action. Am I at peace right now? And if you are not at peace, bring your awareness back to the present moment. When you can be in the moment, free of thoughts or feelings about thoughts, free of the need to speak or act, then you will dwell in the heart of truth. The heart of truth and your heart are the same. What separates you from the truth of your heart is your thoughts, feelings, words, and actions. What separates you are your filters, your interpretations. When you think you know what anything means, you have strayed from the heart of truth. For in the heart of truth, you do not need to know anything. You do not need to do anything. Everything that happens is acceptable exactly the way it is. When external seeking for truth is no longer valued, when internal interpretations of experience are no longer indulged, there is nothing that stands between you and the supreme reality. Nobody can tell you what the reality looks like. The attempt to picture it is absurd. All pictures are just filters. Once you enter truth, the ego dies, for it can get no foothold. But the ego is not assassinated. It dies into truth. It surrenders. It is not a painful act, but an ecstatic one. Peeling away. The supreme reality puts up no barriers to you, for you and I are one and the same. All the barriers are put in place by you. Finding truth is therefore not getting of something you do not have. It is a peeling away of your filters, your interpretations. It is a surrendering of what you think you know. It is a taking down of the barriers you have erected. That is why the journey cannot be an external one. The journey doesn't have to do with anyone else. It has to do only with you. You are the subject. No, not metaphysics or healing or anything else outside yourself. You are the only subject, your thoughts, your feelings, your words, and your actions. If you are willing to turn your attention to these, then you will enter the path to peace. At first it may not seem to be a very pleasant path as you look within. You will see all of your judgments. You will confront your fear, your pain, your loneliness. There won't be anything you can take to avoid your suffering or anesthetize it. No mood-altering drugs to take, no work, responsibilities, or special relationships to lose yourself in. Instead, you will confront the intensity of all the judgments and fear that separate you from your source. But when you become aware of all these obstacles to your peace, you begin to dissolve them. You do this not by finding fault with them, but by accepting them and bringing love to yourself. When you see that you are not at peace, you don't beat yourself up. You take a deep breath and allow peace to come. When you see that you are judging yourself or someone else, you just notice what you are doing. You just see that you are erecting obstacles to peace, and you stop doing that. This practice is an undoing, not a doing. Instead of finding the problem outside yourself, you see that you are the one causing your suffering. But you don't beat yourself up with this awareness. You use this awareness to abandon judgment and return to the truth of who you are. When you leave the road to somewhere, you stop losing yourself in the world. You become the world. Everything out there is brought within, and there alone is meaningful change possible. In your heart, you can end suffering. You can end it in any You cannot end it in any other place or for anyone else. The road to now here is the path to your own heart. It leads through all your fears and self-deceptions. It is not a journey of escape. It is a journey through your pain to end the pain of separation. Beginnings and endings. Life appears to be linear. The sun rises in the morning, sets at night. Spring follows winter, and summer follows spring. But all that happens sequentially also happens in a cycle. Night not only follows day, but precedes it. Spring not only follows winter, but precedes it. In a circle, it is hard to know where the beginning and ending point are. Indeed, the question itself becomes meaningless. Life is not a straight line from beginning to end, but a cycle in which every end is a beginning and every beginning an end. In each phase of the cycle, all other phases are contained. Even though we know all this intellectually, its meaning hasn't sunk in. We still perceive our lives in a linear, sequential fashion. We still think that A leads to B. We think that we must do one thing before we can do another. For example, I must learn to love myself before I can have a relationship with someone else. But the opposite is also true. I must be in relationship with others if I am to learn to love myself. Having a relationship with others and learning to love myself are happening simultaneously all the time. When I am in relationship, I am learning to love myself. When I am alone, I am learning to be in relationship. All phases of the cycle are present in each phase. So every moment contains all other moments. This moment contains all the past and all the future. While the moment may be only one point on the circle, any point will do. Any point is the alpha and omega. A special time or place is not needed. There is as good a place as any. Here is as good a place as any. Now is as good a time as any. There is nothing that you have to do first. There is nothing you have to do later. There is only what is happening now. That is your only responsibility. You cannot be somewhere else in this moment of time. Here is the only place. Once you realize that all that life asks of you is your simple presence, it becomes easier to surrender to the way things are. Any desire for things to be different is attachment to the past or fear of the future. These attachments and fears are commonplace. We must not think we are unspiritual because we all have them. Our job is not to make the attachment or the fear go away, but simply to acknowledge our resistance as it comes up. By noticing our resistance, we don't identify with it. That is the key point. Noticing the fear, I am not that fear. Noting the attachment to a specific outcome, I am not the one who needs that outcome. So I don't have to indulge my desires or resist them. I just notice them and let them pass. As I hold each desire compassionately in awareness, it subsides. Thoughts and feelings arise in consciousness and fade away. Nothing in particular makes them come. Nothing in particular makes them go. They are simply a disotode, like the rhythmic movement of the breath and the drumbeat of the heart. Never heard of that word, disotode. Probably spelled it wrong. None of this means anything. It just is. It is the dance of being. It is only when we give something meaning that the rhythmic flow of life is interrupted. Our gestures of belief or unbelief are like trees falling across a stream. They cannot stop the stream from flowing, but they make the water work harder. A busy mind is like a chainsaw. It cuts down a lot of trees. It makes the river dance wildly in many different directions. The more the mind works, the harder it is for the body to be. And if the body cannot be present, this moment cannot be fully given or received. So we come back to the breath, to the rising and falling of the life force within us. We come back to thoughts and feelings rising and falling in the heart-mind. And the question is, are we breathing as we think? Are we breathing as we feel? Often we will see that we are barely breathing. The mind is moving too quickly for the body. We are somewhere else in a different time. We really aren't here at all.